morning, everybody. Welcome to the Sicilian Corner podcast. My name is Mike, and helping me out behind the glass over here is brother Lou. Lou, how are you?
Doing all right. Still battling this cold.
Yeah. You sound a little bit nasally.
Week and a half now.
Jeepers.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yep.
I see they closed the bridge to Plum Island
Yep.
for a few minutes, not long, 50 minutes or so.
I made it underneath. I got out right in time.
Yeah, right in time.
Right in time.
But that's it's amazing what the weather has been doing lately. It's crazy. I mean, I think in another 30, 35 years, we're going to end up having the climate like, say, North Carolina. It's getting so warm here. It's crazy.
I'll vote for that.
You like that?
Yeah.
You won't be.
Hey, listen, if we have our hand on the thermostat, let's turn it up a couple degrees.
Well, I like it cold. I was born, as a matter of fact, I got a birthday coming up in a few days. I was born in January, and to me, cold, winter, I love it. I love every second of it. It's the best I feel all year long. And
Thank God that wasn't snow, that last storm.
Oh,
thank God that wasn't snow.
You know,
we'd still be digging out.
Here in New England, the biggest snowstorms, it was a combination of 3 or 4 storms. It hit in 1717. And people, I mean, the snow was as high as the houses, if you can believe it, because of a combination of 4 or 5 storms that hit back to back to back to back. And that's kind of like on the pattern we're on right now. And you know something, speaking of the weather, what better way to find out what the heck is going on is to pick up your Old Farmers Almanac and take a look and see what the prediction is going to be for the New England area.
Yep.
And started in 1792. 1790, George Washington was president.
Yep.
I think we had 15 states at the time in 1792. And in all those years, and what's that, 232 years?
Don't make me do math on air.
232 years.
Yeah.
We've had only 14 editors of the Old Farmers Almanac.
Really?
Only 14. Well, geez, that's like close to 18 editors in all that time. That's it.
Wow.
It must be a great job. And how can we find that out if it is or it isn't? Why don't we ask Carol Connare? She's the new editor of Old Farmers Almanac. Carol, welcome to Sicilian Corner.
Thanks for having me. Good morning. Great to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you on board. You look very festive in your blue today. That's a nice color for you. Looks good on you.
Thank you.
Thank you once again for taking time out and joining us. And, you know, to have that few editors and all that time, Lou,
amazing. Yeah.
It's got to be sweet. It's got to be a sweet gig. So far, how long you been in position, Carol?
Since June 12th. So,
all right. So you're a baby. You're just getting your feet wet. But
yeah,
is it everything you expected?
It is. It's fantastic. I mean, we have a team. So, you know, basically being the editor just means that the buck stops here. So if there's an error or anything like that, you know, I'm the one that gets called. But we have a wonderful team of six of us, and everyone does a little something different. And so a colleague of mine does the kids almanac that comes out every 2 years. Another of my colleagues does a lot of our calendars. We have a whole line of calendars. So, and then we have almanac.com where people can see thousands of plant and weather and astronomy pages for free. So everybody has a role. And my role really is setting the tone of the book. You know, we have our book that comes out every year. Here we go. Here's my cheat sheet.
There you go.
So I assign those stories. What's that?
That's a well-used copy right there. You get all
well, this has I have all my little, you know, where I can see, okay, I need to know where's the ginger pancakes, you know, where's the
ginger pancake. You know, we're going to get into this in a little bit because on our show, we talk a lot about food. We talk a lot about restaurants. As you're going to hear during our commercial break, we have quite a few restaurants that are on board with us and have been on board with us for quite a few years. And some people eat to survive. Italians, forget about it. It's just the way it is. It's a way of life.
Yep.
Uh, the history of the Farmers Almanac. Yeah, you want to get into that just a little bit for our listeners?
Sure, sure. Like you were saying, when George Washington was president, most people in our country were farmers because that's how they ate. And so there was many almanacs really at the time. They were really regional. But of course, Boston being, a center, there was several in that area at the time. And, what we can figure is that Robert B. Thomas, our founder, he was his was better.
A Massachusetts born.
Absolutely. And, he was served for 50 years or something. But the idea was that his weather was probably more accurate. And also, we still are governed by the fact that, he thought there should be some humor. And at times, what's going to be in your house in 1792? Like the Bible and the almanac.
Yeah, right.
So, you got to have something to cheer you up there and tell you. And it's really a calendar. At the end of the day, it's a calendar book. And that's what people needed. They didn't have TV or iPhones, obviously. So over time, the almanac has changed because then there was industrialization and people went to the cities, and it wasn't as strongly in that vein, though we always have been for the farmer, for the grower. So, that takes shape over time. Our newest book, for instance, is the Container Gardening Handbook, because guess what happened during the pandemic? I need to put some stuff on the ground and start growing stuff, but I maybe just have an apartment. So I'm doing it out my back door.
Carol, it's interesting you say that, because in the Fenway area near Fenway Park, there's quite a bit of land that altogether, I believe there's 75 acres, but you can rent. There's 525 different plots of land, and it only costs Louis $25 to $30, and you get through the city of Boston.
Yeah,
and the people take so much pride. You can see it's like a League of Nations. If you're from Brazil, you're growing stuff that you're accustomed to in Brazil. If you're from China, you're growing seeds that you had from China. And to walk around and to talk to these different people, and they're so proud of their little square area that they have. It's wonderful. But like you said, people are getting back to getting their hands dirty and growing their own vegetables and getting away from the pesticides and whatnot. And so I agree with you 100%. And COVID had a lot to do with that. COVID really started, even in Massachusetts, you see the number of farms that existed years ago that are coming back to life now. People are getting back to growing, and people love that. You see, from farm to table, you hear that reference all the time in most restaurants. But I agree with you 100%.
I've got to do more container stuff too, because on the island, it's basically sand. So we don't have so I got to do.
Oh, that's a good point.
I've got to get better at container gardening.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And not only that, container gardening, it helps your back a little bit. From somebody who has a bad back, trust me, I respect any kind of an edge that I could get. I look forward to it, But so anyway, 14 editors. I'm impressed with that number. I keep going back to that. And you're only the second female that has taken that position.
I know. Wow. I know. And we really have.
What took them so long to realize?
Yeah, and I think we do have probably slightly an edge of more female readers, but I think it was, it's our time. And it is interesting if you look at the editors, everybody brings a little something different. My predecessor, Janice Stillman, in fact, I worked for her I wrote a story for her 20 years ago, and she's happily retired now, but she brought a certain sense to it that no one else had as the first woman. She came from an education background, as several of the editors did. But there's, as I said, they all brought something different. Like there was a guy, since I worked at UMass, his name was, now I won't remember it, but he was the head of the mass Mass Horticultural Society, and then he was a professor at UMass. But he was criticized because he made the almanac too dry and academic-y. And so that was, an editorship that wasn't loved, shall we say.
I can't begin to tell you how many tidbits I get from the Old Farmers Almanac, trivia or whatever the case might be, and I use it on this show. And it comes in really handy. I get some good ideas. You mentioned a little while ago about food and your ginger pancakes that you seem to be fascinated with. And that's a good thing. I mean, that's a great, and a simple recipe. Blueberry muffins. I got a fantastic recipe for blueberry muffins. And I love to cook and I enjoy it. Baking is not easy for me, but cooking is. But I'm willing to get my hands, full of flour and have a good time. And it gives you satisfaction. It really does. It clears your mind, no matter what kind of a day you're having, Carol. Right? I think you'll agree.
Do you make your own pasta?
I've experimented with it. I had a pasta machine, but I think now it's considered a relic. They've come a long way since mine. But it's funny. I came across it the other day, and I says, something. I should really get back into, being hands-on. But some of the Sicilian pastas, in particular that you can buy, it just makes your life so much easier. But something. Maybe I'm getting a little lazier as I get older. But that's the name of the game. That's the name of the game.
But we know so many people who make some great pasta too. So.
Well, this is it.
Yeah.
This is it. I'm very close to. I don't know if you're familiar with the Tuscan village that just went up where Rockingham Park was in Salem, New Hampshire.
Oh no! Sounds like I should go.
Oh, let me tell you, Joe Farrow, who's a very good friend of this radio show, has done fantastic. 175 acres of land. It used to be a racetrack that in his day was one of the premier racetracks throughout the United States. It ranked right up there, like 5 or 6 in the country. I mean, we had jockeys that would come from all over, big purses, and people got away from horse racing, and the land just started decaying and decaying.
First there was the fire, and then people got away from
there was the fire, and it was just too big of a property. But if you're driving down Route 28, and this is what happened with Joe, he was sitting at a stoplight, and he was going straight down. He was heading north on 28, and he looked down at his odometer, and he looked at for traveling, and he drove 1 mile. 1 mile going north, and it was all Rockingham Park land.
Yep.
He says, this is premier property. And what he's done, Salem, New Hampshire never had really basically a downtown. And now you look at it, and this is their meeting place. There's, I don't know how many restaurants, like 15, 20. I was just at the grand opening from the Artisan Hotel, which is phenomenal. But you talk about Italian foods. I mean, Jeepers Creepers. It's just wonderful, just wonderful. I want to know, and Louis and I were talking about this before, long range weather predicting.
Why?
No, how?
I'll tell you how. I'll definitely.
How did your founder do it in 1792? How did he do it?
Well, as I said, we think that's really why he outlasted and bested all the competition is the weather. And so really it's science. And so at the time, Robert B. Thomas believed in sunspot science. And I don't know if you know about the sunspot cycles.
Sure.
They're about 11 years or so, each one. And we have records on 25 of them. So that's older than the almanac. And they're getting a lot of attention now because actually it was one of the largest sunspot activities years. Like 2024 should be the most sunspot activity that we know of recorded. And what that does is gives us, okay, so now we have this set of data. but we layer on top of that now climatology and meteorology. So nowadays we work with our own weather team that crunches all of that data. Now, most people that predict the weather, they're not really looking at sunspots because that's long range. That's saying, okay, in year 7 with similar sunspot activity, this El Nino or El Nino, whatever teleconnections are also in line, we can look at that, drill down, and see what are the patterns, and that's how we do it.
Has the Thomas formula been tweaked much in all these years, Carol?
Yes, mostly for warming temperatures and more extreme precipitation. So, for instance, in each book, we'll tell you how we did, and last year, I believe we did, I can't remember, it was like really well on temperature and really off on precipitation because so many areas experienced drought or these torrential, really out of the ordinary rains or precipitation. So we have to adjust outside of our normal formulas for that now.
Okay. The articles do you put in the Old Farmers Almanac, are these from separate writers? Are these people that submit things to you for your approval, or how I'm trying to understand how something like that book comes together. You're actually working on the 26th book now, aren't you?
Wow.
2025. Yes, it'll come out this fall. Yeah. Yes, thank you for appreciating that. We are definitely working out ahead.
Wow.
So my predecessor, Janice, assigned those 2024 stories. We work with writers. We also have a Canadian edition. And so we have separate Canadian content in there as well. But yes, that's the fun part. That's what I get to do is we think about what in heck do we want stories on? And so I don't want to give it away.
I got to know. Give me an example of Canadian content.
Okay. Have you ever heard of Moon Mist ice cream?
No.
Okay. Well, you're going to have to read the 2025 issue to find out about that.
There you go.
Atlantic.
That's called a tease.
That's called a tease.
Speaking of teasing, why don't we take a quick break, listen to what our sponsors have to say. And after you watch some of our Italian sponsors, you know what? You're going to be awful hungry, Carol. I'm telling you that right now. We'll be right back. We'll be right back with Carol, everybody.
Ciao, this is Esther of You, Me, and Sicily. I want to talk to you about Tommy Amin and the great staff at Butcher Boy Market. Families, foodies, and home chefs come together at Butcher Boy to talk good food and create traditions. They offer the best in quality cuts of beef, pork, lamb, poultry, and restaurant-style steaks and chops. Produce? All of their produce is hand-selected to complement any meal or even to make it your main course. Their deli serves fresh roast beef, turkey, and beautiful imported Italian cold cuts, cheeses, and antipasto. And don't forget the Butcher Boy Bakery, featuring sweet delectables from all over the state, as well as their very own bakery. That's Butcher Boy, where the secret to a great steak is, of course, the steak. Located at 1077 Osgood Street in North Andover, Massachusetts, in the Butcher Boy Plaza. Ciao!
This is David from the Sicilian Corner. You know, Mike, Tom, and I love to go to Salisbury Beach, but we love different things and can never agree where to go. Tom likes the casual family-style dining with the great Italian cuisine, Capri's seaside Italian kitchen and pizzeria. Me? I love the elegant romantic vibe Sea Glass with the amazing view and terrific menu, with prices that make it the place you want to visit each and every week. Mike loves a drink in his hand and a cool ocean breeze right off the surf and the rhythms of a cooler reggae band. We all know Mike loves Bob Marley tunes at Surfside. Who doesn't love a great show? National acts, comedy, regional favorites in the beautiful and intimate Blue Ocean Concert Hall. Lucky for us, Atlantic Hospitality is the host of all of these great places, and they treat everyone like they are Mike Lamazzo. Best of all, we never have to choose. Park the car once and all this fun is right at your fingertips. You can have it all in the heart of Salisbury Beach. Find out all the ways you can have a great night at Salisbury Beach at NorthshorePavilion.com. And Mike, Tom, and I, We'll see you there.
This is Tom Zappala. Located in the heart of downtown Haverhill, the Haverhill Beef Company is a full-service, old-fashioned butcher shop and meat market that continues to be a valued family tradition since 1952. Peter and Monica Carboni's Haverhill Beef offers individualized service from an outstanding selection of marinated sirloin tips, homemade sausage, marinated chicken, and thick, juicy Chairman Reserve steaks. Your family deserves the best, so call Peter at 978-374-4795 or visit their website at www.haverhillbeef.com.
When you dine at Ristorante Melisse in Amesbury, Massachusetts, you feel at home while enjoying an authentic Italian dining experience not to be forgotten. From the appetizer to dessert, you won't regret your choice. Bring your cravings and appetites. They promise you won't leave hungry or without leftovers for the next day. Takeout and catering are also available. Give them a call or visit them online for the menu, online ordering, and reservations. RistoranteMelisse.com. That's RistoranteMolise.com or call 978-388-4844. Ristorante Melisse, where you're treated like family.
Hi, this is Mike, and I would like to tell you about the Editor Carol Law Offices, a firm that is focused on estate planning, probate, trust administration, and elder law issues. You will feel comfortable discussing important issues concerning both you and your loved ones, as well as having the information you need to make an informed decision about your family's future. How do I know? Because I'm a client of Dan Deborah. If you want to have peace of mind knowing that your loved ones are protected, call Deborah Carol Law Offices today. In Massachusetts, 978-686-4645. In New Hampshire, 603-894-4141. With a commitment to excellence, Colizzi Memorials is dedicated to helping families capture the spirit of their loved ones by building beautiful, lasting tributes that will endure the test of time. Trust Colizzi Memorials to build a personalized tribute that would reflect your loved one's life forever. That's Colizzi Memorials, 217 Merrimack Street, Methuen, Massachusetts. Telephone number 978-674-7035. 978-674-7035.
At Catadella Funeral Home, we reinvest in our business to provide your family with the best facilities. It begins with a beautifully landscaped exterior, parking for 250 vehicles, and a comfortable and inviting access to our renovated interior. Funerals can be costly, so you should review and compare plans to make sure you receive services that are fairly priced. I invite you to experience the Catadella difference in cost, facility, and service.
Catadella's honoring and celebrating the lives of the people we loved, providing exceptional care since 1929.
Italian artisan cuisine combines simple, fresh ingredients with time-honored preparation to create an incredible culinary experience. At Tuscan Kitchen, located in Salem's historic Depot District, talented chefs prepare everything in-house from scratch for all to see. Guests enjoy their meal literally in our kitchen as food is prepared right in front of you. Wood ovens burn from morning till night, roasting vegetables, baking bread, and firing delightful thin-crust pizzas. Prime steaks are seared on a wood grill. A rotisserie slowly roasts marinated whole chickens and lamb, while a pasta maker creates fresh fettuccine. More than just artisan cuisine, Tuscan Kitchen features the wine bar, live entertainment, weekly wine tastings, and elegant private dining and event space. Call 603-952-4875 or visit TuscanKitchen.com to make a reservation and learn more about the culinary adventure that awaits. In Italy, cooking is an art form. Tuscan Kitchen. Experience artisan Italian.
Orthopedics Northeast and Essex Orthopedics have joined forces as Mobility Bone and Joint Institute to bring improved access and outstanding medical care. While our name has changed, our dedication to exceptional care remains the same as it has for the past 30 years. Same location, 16 Pelham Road, Salem, New Hampshire.
This is Cindy
and Mike Kunstler,
owners and operators of Four Oaks Country Club and Grazie Italian Restaurant in Drake, Massachusetts.
Grazie Italian Restaurant is the hidden gem of the Merrimack Valley.
Why is that?
We have an incredible chef, Oscar Figueroa.
In the words of local famous chef and restaurant owner Lydia Shire,
Oscar thrives on hard work.
He is capable and gifted.
No one makes better food. Scallops seared to perfection.
House-made ravioli with farm-fresh local corn.
And buttery tender lazy man's lobster, just to name a few.
You have to come experience Grazie Italian Restaurant for yourself.
Grazie Italian Restaurant, located at Four Oaks Country Club, 80 Meadow Creek Drive in Drake, Massachusetts.
Hope to see you soon.
And we are back. And our special guest today is Carol Connare. She's editor of the Old Farmers Almanac, and she's our guest. And Carol, we have a few folks that are saying hello. Barbara Cody saying good morning. Andy Parisi, Nancy Patera DeMarca saying hello. And Roger Trudell, he's one of our famous gardeners that we have that supplies us with tomatoes during the year. He's actually on the phone to ask you a quick question. So, Roger, why don't you come on with us?
Good morning, Mike, and good morning, Carol.
Good morning.
Good morning, Roger.
It's so refreshing just to see somebody of your educational stature working on a fine publication like the Old Farmers Almanac.
Absolutely.
I thought he was coming after us for a second.
Yeah, I thought he was too.
I personally read it. I usually have a copy given to me by a good friend who treats his copy like it's the Bible.
It's a nice gift, isn't it? Huh?
He's very interested in meteorology, and he likes to keep track of that stuff. Being a gardener, I like to keep track of temperatures, frost, all that sort of thing, so I can govern my planting activity. I start seeds and I plant, what I start. And Mike knows that all too well.
Absolutely. Roger, you have a question for Carol?
Well, not so much. Oh, have you noticed? Okay, here's a question. I've noticed since I've been starting seeds and planting that the conventional wisdom used to be in this area, you shouldn't put your plants in the ground until Memorial Day to be guaranteed you're not going to have a killing frost. I have found that I can get my plants in about the 15th of May.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, everything's warm.
Agreed.
Everything's warm, yeah.
Have you noticed anything in that category?
Absolutely. In fact, you'll see we carry all the planting, the frost dates, and they change every year. And we were just discussing about, yes, we've had to adjust for warmer temperatures. And it seems to me in my gardening about the last 2 decades that I've gained, it almost seems like a month, like 2 weeks on either end.
Right.
Just as an aside, on this Monday, I'm going to start my onion and leek. Yeah,
I think Carol is too.
I'm starting all those things on Monday.
That's wonderful, Roger. I'm glad you keep yourself so busy and you keep that fresh produce coming, Belle. I appreciate your phone call.
Not a problem.
Have a nice weekend.
Happy growing, Roger.
And be dry.
Yeah, thank you.
And be dry. All right, thank you, Carol. You're into vegetables and gardening, and I know you also like to go to Sicily. Can you compare the vegetables in Sicily compared to here?
No, there's no comparison.
I kind of knew the answer to the question, but I figured I just want to broach the fact that you really enjoy going to Sicily. And
the food, the people.
You like staying at some of those farms that are available where you can stay right on the farm, and you have nothing but lemon trees around you, surrounding you, and it doesn't get any better than that. I tried to do that with my late wife, and it wasn't her thing. It just wasn't. But something, I wish that I could get an opportunity to do that in the near future, and we'll see what happens. But
so what makes the difference, Carol? Is it climate? Is it the volcanic ash? Is it a combination of a bunch of things? What's going on?
Well, I do think, for Sicily, the terroir, is very different. You've got the volcanic mountain on one end, but you've also got really semi-arid on the southern parts of the island. They're almost to Africa. They're so close. So there's many different kinds of growing conditions there. And I think that's part of it. But also just like, for instance, one time I went to a 0-kilometer restaurant, which means that everything came either by foot or by bike.
Oh,
no motor was used. I mean, it's so close. It's on the ocean, right? And so I think it's the freshness and that attention to detail of not overusing the food, not overcooking it. All the flavors seem to come through.
Well, when you just talked to Roger, and Roger, like Mike says, Roger will bring us tomatoes, will bring us peppers and things like that. And just the homegrown stuff is so different.
The other thing is he's into heirloom tomatoes. So
me too.
Yeah. And him and a good friend of his, Peter Scipoletti, who's also another provider of fresh produce for the Sicilian Corner podcast.
Yeah.
He specializes in those old-fashioned tomatoes. They may not look pretty. They may have a few cracks on them, but my God,
they taste great.
You sit down.
Yes, they do.
It's amazing. The Old Farmers Almanac, I mean, there's so many tips about gardening. And, if you're putting tomatoes in, to try to get away from some of the bugs that want to drive you bananas, like putting basil or putting mint. And something, it's right on. I mean, it's right on.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my granddad did in his little farm in North Andover, Massachusetts. He would plant things that would keep the insects away from destroying the plants, tomato worms or whatever the case might be.
Well, that's why oregano is so closely associated with tomatoes, right? Just because they're grown
companion plants.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want to grow together and they work well together, just like people sometimes.
Sometimes. Sometimes. So what was your biggest challenge taking over as editor?
Oh, that's a good question. I think really learning the ropes. I mean, I haven't read every issue, and most of the other editors really have sat down and read through. That's a lot of reading.
Yeah,
and I love to read, but I'm always picking up old issues. So I think it's just that there's so many wonderful things, and there's 200 plus years, and we have them right here on the shelf behind me. And so, I think that's a challenge. It's just, I'm constantly referring, everyone says, why do you work in the office? And I said, well, I don't have all these almanacs at home, so being respectful that everything that came before was also so well put together. And while information does get updated and changed, like you said, those tips, those things like oregano and tomatoes have always belonged together.
That and getting stains off your clothes. Right on. Right on.
Without going to the grocery store.
Without going to the grocery store. We have it right in our own kitchen.
You mentioned in a couple places the humor and the lightness involved in the almanac, and how at times it was dry. How do you bring that in? Is it an editorial choice, or is it just kind of the people you hire, or the articles that you take that seem to have it? Do you just attract it, or how does that come to be? How do you manage that and cultivate that?
You're right. That's probably the second challenge, because you can't say, be funnier,
right.
People, especially writers. So it's about the selection. The people on I would say that most times we are thinking of the stories here, and then we will assign them or write them. And so I think it has that flavor. We always talk about it. What's the almanac angle? I think I would say, like, I've been writing about asteroids and smelt for the 2025 issue. So, it's the mix that kind of makes it fun, but also the way we treat any story. Like you said, your show is about having fun. And I think I have it on my wall across here. It says, pleasant degree of humor. And I think that's really when I came on board, they said that fun factor. We want to get even more of that in there, and a little bit of that wacko, like a surprise. So.
Roger just wrote in. He said another trick is to feed the birds in the wintertime. They hang around in the summer and eat bugs, which is making a very, very, very good point. He didn't say it while he was on with us, but he's had a little problem with his back. So he went to container planting, and he put in raised beds and everything else. He's got a beautiful, beautiful system. I mean, this guy takes it seriously. I mean, very seriously. And, I just want to mention real quick, we have the Super Bowl coming up in February, but we also have our own. Who cares? That's right.
We're not involved.
We also have our own version of New England Super Bowl. I don't know if you're aware of that, but
I'm not sure.
It's going to happen April 8th. And Carol, why don't you tell us about it?
Well, we're hoping the weather is going to be good, but we are in for a full solar eclipse on April 8th. 2024.
That's right.
And people in New England, here's what I'm going to do. So you can take it from the editor of the Old Farmers Almanac. I'm actually getting back from Sicily on the 4th. So I'm going to look at the weather. And if I see that it's going to be clear skies, I'm driving to Burlington or thereabouts, Vermont.
Burlington,
Because
Vermont.
if you've never seen an eclipse or been in one, it's an incredible experience, and it is close enough. Let's just face it, April's not usually clear weather, but if it is, you'll know, and people could go. Most people who are eclipse followers tend to go down toward Texas, where the weather's going to be better, and all the rooms in the southern part of the path have probably been sold.
Yeah.
But we are a drive. You can just drive to it if it's going to be clear.
How many states will have a total eclipse and not a partial?
Oof. I think it's 13.
Let's reference
I would have to look at
Old
that.
Farmers Almanac.
Old Farmers Almanac.
Yes, I know.
Page 14.
The recent-
That's okay.
Is it-
I know it's between 13 and 15. I know that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And we have it here right in our own backyard.
Yeah.
So it's incredible. All right, listen, Carol, can you stay with us for a few more minutes? We're going to have to take a break, but we're going to
Absolutely.
be back. And we want to know a little bit more about the Old Farmers Almanac and how we can get it and when the newest edition is going to be coming out. All right, we'll take a quick break, Lou.
Ciao, this is Esther of You, Me, and Sicily. I want to talk to you about Tommy Amin and the great staff at Butcher Boy Market. Families, foodies, and home chefs come together at Butcher Boy to talk good food and create traditions. They offer the best in quality cuts of beef, pork, lamb, poultry, and restaurant-style steaks and chops. Produce? All of their produce is hand-selected to complement any meal or even to make it your main course. Their deli serves fresh roast beef, turkey, and beautiful imported Italian cold cuts, cheeses, and antipasto. And don't forget the Butcher Boy Bakery, featuring sweet delectables from all over the state, as well as their very own bakery. That's Butcher Boy, where the secret to a great steak is, of course, the steak. Located at 1077 Osgood Street in North Andover, Massachusetts, in the Butcher Boy Plaza. Ciao!
This is David from the Sicilian Corner. Mike, Tom, and I love to go to Salisbury Beach, but we love different things and can never agree where to go. Tom likes the casual family-style dining with the great Italian cuisine, Capri's Seaside Italian Kitchen and Pizzeria. Me? I love the elegant romantic vibes Sea Glass with the amazing view and terrific menu, with prices that make it the place you want to visit each and every week. Mike loves a drink in his hand and a cool ocean breeze right off the surf and the rhythms of a cooler reggae band. We all know Mike loves Bob Marley tunes at Surfside. Who doesn't love a great show? National acts, comedy, regional favorites in the beautiful and intimate Blue Ocean Concert Hall. Lucky for us, Atlantic Hospitality is the host of all of these great places, and they treat everyone like they are Mike Lamazzo. Best of all, we never have to choose. Park the car once and all this fun is right at your fingertips. You can have it all in the heart of Salisbury Beach. Find out all the ways you can have a great night at Salisbury Beach at northshorepavilion.com. And Mike, Tom, and I will see you there.
This is Tom Zappala. Located in the heart of downtown Haverhill, the Haverhill Beef Company is a full-service, old-fashioned butcher shop and meat market that continues to be a valued family tradition since 1952. Peter and Monica Carboni's Haverhill Beef offers individualized service from an outstanding selection of marinated sirloin tips, homemade sausage, marinated chicken, and thick, juicy Chairman Reserve steaks. Your family deserves the best, so call Peter at 978-374-4795 or visit their website at www.haverhillbeef.com.
Sisters and co-owners Antoinetta and Elisa brought their family authentic Italian recipes from Molise, Italy, and a warm and welcoming dining dining experience to its customers at Ristorante Melisse. The combination of their meals made from natural, homemade, fresh ingredients and your time with family and friends together at dinner time is unmatched. Located in Market Square in the heart of Amesbury, they're open for dinner Tuesday through Sunday from 3 to 9 p.m. and are available for private parties during off hours. For reservations, call them at 978-388-4844. That's 978-388-4844.
Hi, this is Mike, and I would like to tell you about the Editor Carol Law Offices, a firm that is focused on estate planning, probate, trust administration, and elder law issues. You will feel comfortable discussing important issues concerning both you and your loved ones, as well as having the information you need to make an informed decision about your family's future. How do I know? Because I'm a client of Dan Deborah. If you want to have peace of mind knowing that your loved ones are protected, call Deborah Carol Law Offices today. In Massachusetts, 978-686-4645. In New Hampshire, 603-894-4141. With a commitment to excellence, Colizzi Memorials is dedicated to helping families capture the spirit of their loved ones by building beautiful, lasting tributes that will endure the test of time. Trust Colizzi Memorials to build a personalized tribute that would reflect your loved one's life forever. That's Colizzi Memorials, 217 Merrimack Street, Methuen, Massachusetts. Telephone number 978-674-7035. 978-674-7035.
At Catadella Funeral Home, we reinvest in our business to provide your family with the best facilities. It begins with a beautifully landscaped exterior, parking for 250 vehicles, and a comfortable and inviting access to our renovated interior. Funerals can be costly, so you should review and compare plans to make sure you receive services that are fairly priced. I invite you to experience the Catadella difference in cost, facility, and service.
Catadella's honoring and celebrating the lives of the people we loved, providing exceptional care since 1929.
Italian artisan cuisine combines simple, fresh ingredients with time-honored preparation to create an incredible culinary experience. At Tuscan Kitchen, located in Salem's historic Depot District, talented chefs prepare everything in-house from scratch for all to see. Guests enjoy their meal literally in our kitchen as food is prepared right in front of you. Wood ovens burn from morning till night, roasting vegetables, baking bread, and firing delightful thin-crust pizzas. Prime steaks are seared on a wood grill. A rotisserie slowly roasts marinated whole chickens and lamb, while a pasta maker creates fresh fettuccine. More than just artisan cuisine, Tuscan Kitchen features the wine bar, live entertainment, weekly wine tastings, and elegant private dining and event space. Call 603-952-4875 or visit TuscanKitchen.com to make a reservation and learn more about the culinary adventure that awaits. In Italy, cooking is an art form. Tuscan Kitchen. Experience artisan Italian.
Orthopedics Northeast and Essex Orthopedics have joined forces as Mobility Bone and Joint Institute to bring improved access and outstanding medical care. While our name has changed, our dedication to exceptional care remains the same as it has for the past 30 years. Same location, 16 Pelham Road, Salem, New Hampshire.
This is Cindy,
And Mike Kunstler.
owners and operators of Four Oaks Country Club and Grazie Italian Restaurant in Drake, Massachusetts.
Grazie Italian Restaurant is the hidden gem of the Merrimack Valley.
Why is that?
We have an incredible chef, Oscar Figueroa.
In the words of local famous chef and restaurant owner Lydia Shire,
Oscar thrives on hard work.
he is capable and gifted.
No one makes better food. Scallops, seared to perfection.
House-made ravioli with farm-fresh local corn.
And buttery, tender, lazy man's lobster, just to name a few.
You have to come experience Grazie Italian Restaurant for yourself.
Grazie Italian Restaurant, located at Four Oaks Country Club, 80 Meadow Creek Drive in Drake, Massachusetts. Hope to see you soon.
And we are back, and our guest is Carol Connare. Carol, did you know that our 16th President, Abraham Lincoln,
Here we go.
actually won a case because of the Farmers Almanac, the Old Farmers Almanac?
Yes.
Yeah, it's an interesting story, and I know you can't keep up with everything that's taking place in all these different almanacs, but I've been having some fun just trying to get some factoids that I could look at for you. And Louis, Abraham Lincoln was a lawyer, and he got a client off because there was an eyewitness that said that he identified this particular Abraham Lincoln's client, that he could see him in the moonlight. And Abraham Lincoln got up and brought the Old Farmers Almanac to the judge and said, look, the moon is a quarter of brightness.
Yep.
How could he possibly see my client's face? It's impossible. And the guy got off.
Oh my God.
He got off because of the Old Farmers Almanac. I thought that was so freaking cool. I really did. You mentioned earlier that women outnumber men as far as readers. What's the reason for that, do you think? What appeals to? What is it that in the book? I find it extremely interesting, and I'm a guy, and I love it. I go page by page. I don't miss a page. I find that interesting.
I guess I think it's more probably who buys it, because we're at supermarket checkouts, we're at lawn and garden stores, we're on Amazon, we're everywhere. But I wonder if that's part of it too, or women are answering the questions when they're asked about if they're readers.
And that too. You're close to 3 million copies a year. 3 million copies a year, Lou.
Excellent.
That's unbelievable. I mean, the second year it came out, Mr. Thomas, I know he published, I think it was 9,000 books, I think his second year. So 9,000 books. And look at 3 million today. I mean, that's unbelievable.
It's a lot. In fact, we print very early. We have to print in June because by the time August rolls around, so we're kind of peculiar because we do have the garden guide, which is just about to come out, but then the almanac is a significantly larger press job. And we have to get on before all the catalogs for the holidays, which they start in August.
That's a good point.
We print in the summer because we're a one time a year, and so are they basically. So we tend to be staggered before them.
So your release date is approximately October?
It's usually end of August. Yeah, August. End of August, September 1 is what we say.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you, most of your editors, if you figure it out, and the amount of years that it's been in business divided by 14, comes out to like almost 18 years. I hope you're there for 18. I got a feeling you're going to be there longer than 18. I really do. I think you're having way too much fun. All right.
Definitely. I was thinking about tomatoes because one thing they told me when I got here, they said we cannot have too many stories about tomatoes. So it's not just Sicilians. Everyone loves tomatoes.
No,
but
absolutely.
What are some of the highlights of this edition? If people haven't picked up that copy yet, what are some of the things that you like particular about the 2024 edition?
Oh, there's several. Well, I'm a big Olympics fan, so that's coming up this year. So we have kind of facts and fun facts from past Olympics and history. Flowers, they make me happy. So we have a whole thing about bouquets, but what I love about it is it's like what I do. Sometimes I'll stick some pretty kale in my bouquet or a branch as well as some flowers. So we talk about that. I'm really into weather, as we discussed. And so the ocean currents story is kind of for maybe weather geeks, but like I just had a teacher contact me and asked me if she could use that for her high school class to learn. So that's a fun one if you're really interested to know what's going on there.
That's some of the things that impact the climate that we don't talk enough about. You're talking about 11-year cycles with solar flares and their orbital cycles with the Earth that are measured in hundreds of thousands of years. Current cycles in the oceans and things like that. Those are the things that don't get enough play in this discussion, I don't think.
It's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, the oceans the temperatures have really affected, and what happens that also affects the precipitation. If they're warmer, and depending on where, if the ocean currents are faster or how north they are, that really impacts weather around the globe.
What's an El Nino? Do you know, Carol, or is that out of your realm expertise?
No, well, El Nino and La Nina are terms for things that we call teleconnections. And so the El Nino, which is what we're in now, is when you see the jet stream become a bit wavier and slower. And so that tends to make for a more volatile set of weather. But again, that's as part of a bigger picture. What's weird is that we just came out of 3 years of La Nina. And so the third year just wasn't a typical La Nina year, or typical. So we're just seeing some differences in terms of, we used to say El Nino, snow here, rain here. We can't really say that as much anymore. But what it does is impact basically that jet stream, its speed. And if it's slower, it gets wavier. And that's the volatility. That's where we see a ton of that precipitation, or those wicked cold blows that come down as well.
Yeah, that seam between hot air and cold air fluctuates a lot more.
Yeah, and the water temperature, I'm sure, creates its own climate. If the water temperature is very high, I'm sure it affects the amount of moisture that's going to be sucked up into the air, which causes an awful lot of problems too. It just seems like, years ago we used to have a gentleman out of Boston, and I know you're too young, and you won't know who this guy is. His name was Don Kent.
I know. I'm older than you think.
And he would get up to his little chalkboard, and he would draw lines, and this is going to happen, and this is going to move up here, and the guy was freaking accurate. I mean, he was right on. He didn't have all these computers. I mean, now you look at these weather stations. I mean, they go by spaghetti lines, more or less, and there's 24 to 30 of them. And wherever they converge the most, that's going to be your weather forecast. The storm is going to be here. Don didn't have any of that. I mean, he'd go outside the studio, look around, and look at the sky. It's going to start snowing any minute. I mean, I love the guy. I thought he was absolutely freaking cool. I really did. But
there was something to that science, Carol, wasn't there? Before the reliance on modeling, that just the ability to put these ingredients together by people who knew what they were talking about. It had a certain element of accuracy to it.
I just want to say, Carol, that my next door neighbor has 6 chickens, and it's a good thing because I haven't had to buy eggs in quite a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
do you know the names, Mike?
I do not.
You do not?
I do not.
I'm
all right.
surprised.
See, okay.
I'm
All
surprised.
right. You thought,
Yep.
Yeah, I do not. But there was an article in one of the older Old Farmers Almanac on how to hypnotize the chicken.
I know. I love it. I love it.
It
Very
didn't work.
useful.
It didn't work.
You can't tell you how many people have tried that. Let us know.
Didn't work.
Why are you trying to hypnotize a chicken?
I thought it would be cool.
Just fun, yeah.
And I had his
Fair enough.
attention.
Yep.
I mean, he was looking. I mean, I had him.
Yeah.
Nothing. He just
It
scratched.
really depends on the chicken.
Well, this guy is. I mean, I don't know if there's such a thing as a gourmet chicken, but Martha Stewart had some really beauties on her show and her farm, and this guy's got the red puff in his hair, and I mean, he's a handsome dude. He really is. But I just could not. I could not do anything with him. He wasn't listening to me. He wasn't buying into it. But it's little things like that that separate the Old Farmers Almanac from reading. You know what I mean?
I do.
I like the trivia.
I have one favorite thing in this issue, which is, everyone thinks that the most popular pie is apple, but we disabuse people of that notion. Do you know what the most popular pie is?
No, tell us.
Tell us, please. Bated breath. I'm waiting.
Pecan. Well, we're from New England, so what do we know about pecan pie?
Who eats pecan pie?
More people than eat apple, and definitely more people than eat key lime, pumpkin, and coconut.
Key lime pie, if it's good, and you're down south, to me, is pretty good.
Although I was introduced to the
Very
concept of bourbon pecan pie, which I have to try, so we get to try that.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Bourbon
pecan pie.
That sounds like a good idea.
Sounds like a good idea, doesn't
You're
it?
seconding that motion, Carol?
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
I like it. Listen, we're up. We got about 2 minutes to go. And what would you like to close off by saying to our Sicilian Corner listeners?
Oh, well, thanks for having me for number one. But I think, fans of Sicily and people that can connect with that country really are probably perfect readers of the Almanac, because it is about a connection to the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's, I think when we were talking about this show, for me, that's what Sicily is. I think there's just a big connection. People didn't forget, maybe like we did here. They've always been there. When you drive around the country there, you just see everybody has their own little plot in their backyard of their olive trees and their grapes and their and their chickens. So, yeah, I think also to get the almanac, we are everywhere right now. We are on
know.
bookstores, Amazon, almanac.com. And so if you haven't gotten a copy, you know, it's a pretty good bargain. Like everybody, we've experienced some of these pressures of production and distribution. But
And
it's
may
still
I, and
pretty
may I,
affordable.
and may I interrupt you by saying United States made in America. That's
Made in
important.
America.
That's important.
Absolutely.
You know, I wish we'd get back to that and stop spending money and funding overseas companies. But this is, I love this kind of stuff. And I hope, Carol, as we progress and maybe someday you can come into the studio and sit down with us, and we'll open up the lines for phone calls. And if you can't do that, we'll do another chat like this one. And
Let's do it. I'll come your way for sure.
I know you're going to be 18 years. You'll be in that position before you go anywhere. I know that. That's the average. Again, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
It was a lot of fun. You're a pleasure to chat with.
You too.
Take care, everybody. Next week, we're going to have Bill DeRazio in the studio. You want to know about how to win at slot machines? And I'm being a little bit facetious when I say that.
Yeah.
But if you want to know a little bit about what goes on at the Boston Encore Casino, Bill's going to be in the studio with me, and I'm looking forward to it. So on that note, stay dry, be careful, and I hope you come back with us next week.